I will talk about the so-called TA practitioners trainings that took place within the Ventseslav project. I am here also to fill in for our colleague from TA Swiss, Ventseslav Kozarev, who was the author of one of the principal designers or idea creators for the TA practitioners training, and also one who has brought a lot of her professional experience in TA to those trainings as well. And she also co-authored a chapter in the forthcoming TA book that you heard about. Today I will briefly talk about how the practitioners training emerged within Ventseslav, mention about the goals and the kinds of setup we have in those trainings. I will briefly discuss give the perspectives of participants, which is the most exemplary for the added value of those trainings, and then I will talk about the added value for the broader TA community and how TA community evolved based on experiences throughout the practitioners trainings. The fact of the need for the practitioners training stemmed directly from the goals of the Ventseslav project, which aims to increase the capacity and enhance the institutional foundation for knowledge-based policy making, and also, of course, those issues involving science, innovation, and technology, based on the practices of parliamentary technology assessment. So there was this link between science and technology policy, and then also regulation through parliamentary decision-making. The practitioners' trainings in particular were viewed as a tool for TA professionals, acting professionals, as well as aspiring TA practitioners to develop and further enhance their capacity for performing TA. So building some skills, getting to know about what the goals in a TA project are and how to involve stakeholders in the process. And also they were viewed as a key element for strengthening and expanding the TA landscape in Europe, because as you know, perhaps half of the participants in the Ventseslav project were coming from countries where there was institutionalized and traditionally performed parliamentary technology assessments, and the other half of the participants were from countries who did not have that kind of institutionalized environment. I don't think I'll be able to tell the story of the practitioners training better than what Daniela Bici had, but I spoke to her briefly the other day, and she told me a bit more about how this whole concept evolved. And it first started with the meetings, practitioner meetings organized within the European Parliamentary Technology Assessment Network, known as EPTA. And when I asked her, what do you mean by Indian meetings? She told me a very funny story that actually at first EPTA started meeting only with the directors of the technology assessment institutes across the countries that had them. And starting up, so she referred to this as meeting of the chiefs, but not of the members of the tribe. And then it started to evolve to include not just the chiefs, but also the soldiers from those institutions, those who actually perform the actual TA work. At first, the practitioners training, when they happen only within the EPTA network, it was only meant for them, so no external participants were invited. There was no external funding, so it was financed by contributions from the actual member organizations of the EPTA. And those were based only on the experiences made within EPTA members. So it was strongly EPTA. But that's what gave the idea for the practitioners meeting within Ventseslav, and Ventseslav also enabled this practice to be expanded over to include practitioners coming from non-EPTA members. The actual goal for the practitioners training was to build capacity for technology assessment and allow for sharing of experiences among practitioners in order to increase the quality, efficacy, and the legitimacy of TA practices. Participants who were involved were one TA practitioners currently working on TA projects, mostly in member organizations, in where institutionalized TA bodies. And the other type of participants were the so-called future TA practitioners, those who were trying to build capacity for TA in their own country, or who wanted to participate and get more involved in what we like to call TA. The format of the trainings was based on the assumption of mutual learning, so there was a lot of experience exchange and actual examples from TA projects that had happened. There was a lot of group exercises and as well as role-playing simulations to get an actual environment around an actual TA problem or TA challenge that had to be solved. We had a total of 4 connected sessions that each took 3 days. Actually, there's a small error on the slide. They took place in Lisbon in 2012, Sofia 2013, Vilnius 2013, and in Prague 2014. So each session focused on a particular phase of a TA project, which basically these 4 steps started by identification and framing of the issue that the TA was supposed to address, then the actual steps for designing a TA project and choosing the actual methods, because the TA methods repository is quite large. So choosing the relevant method was also important and sometimes a matter of strategic decision. Analyzing the necessity and challenges of involving different types of actors in TA projects. So it's not just the practitioners themselves doing the analyses, but also with different kinds of stakeholders that have a stake in the project results. And the 4th practitioners training focused on communication strategies and communication tools. So how to communicate the results of the TA projects in hopes for maximum impact with the stakeholders. These are some results, maybe the most visible, the most important ones, based on participants' evaluations following the 4 trainings. The reason why we chose to present them in fractions rather than percentages, which is more common, is as Daniela told me, she was teaching her children to work on fractions, so she was already in fraction mode when she was doing this presentation, so she kept the fractions on. But what participants found to be the most valuable is that they built new knowledge on TA with 2/3 of the participants. For 50% or half, there were new TA skills acquired. Networking was for 80% of the people, as well as the inspiration and new ideas for their work, which is pretty much the most important result of having that format of practitioners' trainings. And the result is that the trainings turn out to be a unique opportunity for TA practitioners to not only share their practices, but also to learn from each other and then jointly develop a set of good practices to build upon in their future work. TA has become and has evolved to become a very vivid community that relies on various approaches, various methods, with some common goals. And some of the challenges that when TA is being practiced across different settings, that they have to do with adapting to local social, political, and cultural characteristics. So there is no unique recipe that every country, every organization, every country can follow when performing TA. Another challenge is to integrate the new developments in science, technology, and innovation policies. So this is something that has to be taken into account by those who wish to do TA. There is constant development that has to be taken into account in order to understand the background of the issues that are emerging. Some of these new developments have to do with innovation governance, others have to do with especially recently responsible research and innovation. There are others as well. And of course, TA community is faced with the challenge to deal with the globalization of science and societies in general. Because TA is not something that happens, or the issues that TA addresses is not something that is uniquely positioned within a single country or within a single society. Therefore, it became very evident that it was important for TA professionals to draw on that shared knowledge of what knowledge assessment is, but also how it works and what results can be achieved. For those countries like Bulgaria, including our practitioners or future practitioners in those trainings, was very helpful, because for us, TA embodies an innovative approach to policy analysis and policy making. In our countries, we still don't have, first of all, we don't have a very good understanding of what TA actually is, especially if you go out and talk to stakeholders or policymakers. There is very little understanding of what is TA. So TA is still an emerging approach. And we act as not just TA practitioners, analysts, or policy analysts. We also have to act as TA promoters. Some of the challenges that we face regularly, it's how to help policymakers understand better the role and benefits of TA. That's a very long conversation normally, and it's with mixed results. Then identify and involve TA supporters among the stakeholders as early as possible. Sometimes call those TA champions, or the ones that are most likely to help us and to understand what we are trying to propose and how we can help. Persuading the stakeholders of the benefits of keeping the entire policy design process transparent. This is policy transparency, or policy development transparency is one of the challenges that we still face in our societies and the way that public policy is being made. Also, a very practical challenge is how to identify, review, and adapt the existing TA methodologies for a particular national context. And of course, to make this even more complicated, the lack of institutionalized body or foundation that is dedicated to TA is not a very helpful fact. So we are also trying and aspiring to build a more institutionalized way to perform TA. For the so-called TA newcomers like us, it was a very excellent opportunity to share experience, to learn from shared experience, to develop additional expertise or to expand our current expertise with the perspective on TA, to discover new missions for TA. For example, in the PASITA project, TA was mostly viewed through the parliamentary technology, PTA, Parliamentary Technology Assessment, but there are other perspectives. So for us, for example, in Bulgaria, and I believe also in other countries, it was more viable to think not just about parliament, but also about other public policy bodies, including government. But it very much depends on how the policy development infrastructure is positioned. And also about adopting the methods and matching them to critical issues. This is maybe the second step after identifying the issue. And lessons learned. Well, funding. It's important, especially for us, because this takes some resource, financial resource. The developing of written or digital materials, that's always very helpful because you have a good reference to come back to, and also helps with legitimizing what you've done as part of a TA project. We also discovered that the TA professionals do not only need to learn from each other, but they also need to get involved with their adversaries and help them understand their own work better, but also understand their adversaries better, so that the format can be, the training format can be adapted to include policymakers, journalists, and so on, everyone involved in the TA communication process. Some ideas about further issues that can be include technology scanning, how do we view the entire technology horizon of what issues there are, some theoretical considerations about performing technology assessment, as well as building case studies about particular projects and use them as examples. Well, thank you. This presentation is based on this chapter in the forthcoming book. As Lars said yesterday, bio. Thanks.